I'm Billy.
I'm Eddie.
We are the
Trick or
Trick-or-Treaters. Today we're talking about our favorite actors and actresses, and we've already had a prediction that him and I are going to have different people. So I'll let you pick. Go ahead and name it. We'll go back and forth. You name somebody.
Let's start more current so they actually know who we're talking about. Johnny Depp.
Okay. Do you have what do you like about him?
I have been familiar with Depp's work since, well, before Pirates of the Caribbean. Sleepy Hollow.
Before he had a jar of dirt, then.
Yes, before the Jar of Dirt.
I got a jar of dirt. I thought about getting you that for Christmas. Just give me a jar of dirt, so then you can walk around and say, "I got a jar of dirt."
I would do it too.
A jar of dirt.
But yes, before Pirates of the Caribbean. Sleepy Hollow. Some of his other older stuff. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Probably one of my favorite films with Johnny Depp. I'll give you Sleepy Hollow.
Oh yes, that's one that even though I don't have the 4K setup, I want the Blu-ray.
Also, another one I really love is Dark Shadows. I think it's underrated. I really thought it was a good movie.
Now, Ed Wood, which you still need to watch, but
Yes.
great movie. That is one I had not seen until after I'd already watched Pirates. When I got more familiar with different actors and their work, and because the first Pirates came out before I was super involved in film.
Sure.
But I remember watching Sleepy Hollow because me and my older sister always referred to it as the fainting movie because everybody faints in it almost.
That's true. You know, the way they filmed Sleepy Hollow too, I need to give that a rewatch. Maybe we'll be doing that for the channel. So we are planning at some point, spoiler, we are planning doing a director series, and we're thinking about doing a Tim Burton series where we sit down and watch Tim Burton
films.
And
Burton definitely. Not just him as a director, but even as a producer.
Yeah, anything he's produced or he's directed, I've been trying to buy. I just recently picked up Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. He was just a producer on it, but it's still, you can see some of his influence on it. But back to Depp. The guy, from my understanding, he actually pays someone to read his lines to him, and then he interprets it and takes his own spin on it, and then says his line on camera. He doesn't memorize. What he does is he has an earpiece, and he gets read his lines, and then he is that hear that and know his character so well that he can just put it out there immediately after hearing it. That's impressive. I don't know if that's true with every film he's done, but I've heard that.
I hadn't even heard that before. So
Yeah.
that is impressive. I mean, I know semi off topic, but in relation to the whole reading lines thing, the first Lord of the Rings film, Fellowship of the Ring, you have the Council of Elrond scene. If you pay attention, Sean Bean as Boromir keeps looking down. What he's looking at is the script in his lap.
I'll be honest, I have not done any sort of scripted thing where I've actually sat down to memorize. I think it will take me some work. I've heard different strategies. One person told me record yourself talking and then listen to it about 50 times. The problem is when I listen to myself reading lines, I will focus on how I'm saying it, so that I want to re-record. So one of my people in the group's idea was they would do a voice recording of the lines for me, send it to me, so I can just focus on the lines and then develop the character after I've got the lines. I guess my problem is I'm focusing on the lines and not character development. So I have to memorize the lines and then be able to take the lines and make it my own and create my own character. So that's something I still have to work on.
Of course, with lots of movies, scripts, it's finished. Lord of the Rings, countless hours of bonus material I've watched, they were changing the script pretty much daily. So he pretty much needed the script there in his lap.
So with Johnny Depp, what are some of your favorite Depp films?
Like I said, Pirates of the Caribbean, of course.
Oh yeah.
Sleepy Hollow, Ed Wood. Ed Wood Scissorhands.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's a great one. The least favorite one I saw was The Tourist, and it's not because he was bad, it's just the story was not very interesting to me. But it was not his fault. He was still great in it. That's the thing with some of these actors and actresses, they have great performances, but sometimes the movie is lackluster, but their performance is still great. That's one of those cases where I thought he did well, but the movie was just, it didn't hit for me. You know what I mean?
Slightly, and it's not just live action. Corpse Bride. where it was just his voice.
I almost wonder if he could have been in the MCU as a character, because I think
Not yet. I'm literally, I'm sitting here trying to remember Depp's catalog because of the amount of films that I've seen. Sometimes I get my actors mixed up, so I want to make sure.
I think he would be good in the MCU though. I just don't know as who, because he's very quirky.
He's quirky and he does have a wide range. He's done serious. He's
Oh
done
yeah,
so he can be anybody pretty much. The problem is finding a character that he could play that we either haven't already seen. In other words, they recast characters all the time.
right. Yeah, there's no one I can think of offhand, guys, right now.
And there's some weird obscure ones in comic book lore, both Marvel and DC, that they could probably find something
Sure.
for Depp.
Okay, so I will go with David Harbour. I think he has a lot of emotional depth. Stranger Things. You've only seen the first season. We need to watch that for the channel, actually.
Yes.
But his emotional, like I'll talk about season 1. In the first episode, when you first meet him, you're like, oh, he's an alcoholic. But then you learn that his daughter died. So Violent Night.
I'm trying to remember who that is. Like I said, I get at
Violent Night.
The name sounds
he plays Santa Claus, of course, in Violent Night. He's great in that action film. A lot of shooting. He plays Chief Hopper in Stranger Things. He's the one that's looking for Will Byers. He's the head to.
Okay, I know I've heard the name before. I was trying to remember where.
And then Gran Turismo. He was the coach. And then also Black Widow. He was Scarlet. He was Black Widow's dad in the film.
Okay, that's why I've heard the name before.
So David Harbour has emotional depth. His connection with Elle and the way he handles Mike and Elle's relationship in the show is very humorous. And really, he just brings a lot of complex emotions you don't expect from him. When he plays Santa Claus, I don't know if you've seen Violent Night.
Not yet, but I want to.
It's a great, fun movie. There's a lot of homage to like Home Alone in it. Basically, the whole premise is a family is kidnapped on Christmas Eve, I believe it is, and he has to rescue this little girl and her family from these people that want to get the money from the family.
Someone's ended up on the naughty list.
Yeah, but it's a great action film, but there's more to it than that. So he always brings this emotional depth that you don't expect from him because he's a big guy. I have not seen his Hellboy film. I heard I heard it wasn't great, but it wasn't his fault. It was more the film itself just wasn't well written, I guess.
And that's partly due to I'm sort of biased towards the other two Hellboy films.
Oh yeah. So we've gotten through Johnny Depp, David Harbour. Who's someone else you enjoy? Actor or actress?
Well, let's jump over to actress for a moment. Winona Ryder.
Oh yeah.
Let's just say Beetlejuice. Edward Scissorhands. What are the
Stranger Things?
Yeah. But I mentioned Edward and Beetlejuice because I watched those as a young preteen and, celebrity crush.
Okay, I see where you're going with that.
But I enjoyed her work. And yes, Stranger Things. And now she's coming back for Beetlejuice 2 with Jenna Ortega as her daughter. And I think that is perfect casting.
And William Dafoe in an undisclosed role.
I know.
Like, what the hell? It's gonna be a great film.
We're gonna have to review Beetlejuice 1 before the sequel comes out.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna watch it and then we'll probably review it early and then go see Beetlejuice that day. So we might wait until the morning of and then go in the afternoon, or we might wait till the day before. But anyway, guys, we are gonna do a Beetlejuice review eventually. It's actually a film I saw for the first time like 2 years ago, so I'm pretty new to it, to be honest. Yeah, none of my friends have seen it either. So we all sat down, like 3 of us had never seen it. We all sat down and watched it together. Because that's when I just learned about Tim Burton and Nightmare Before Christmas about 3 or 4 years ago. That's what got me into this whole Burton thing. So I'm very new to Burton, but I love all of his work. Like my least favorite film of Burton's was Sweeney Todd, and we'll get into that another time. Yeah. I was sick when I watched it, and I thought it was kind of repetitive, but I'll rewatch it and give it another try when we do our Burton verse.
That's another Depp movie. The Alice in Wonderlands.
Oh, those are underrated. The first one he directed, he only produced the second one. The second one to me is not as good. But we'll get into that. So
But
you're talking. Okay, we got to get back to our actress, Winona Ryder.
Ryder.
So Winona Ryder, what do you think about her abilities? I mean,
Outside, I've not really seen anything with her in it outside of that strange, to use a term and be like just strange and unusual. Most Stranger Things are her collaborations with Burton. So I haven't seen much of her range, so I can't really say a lot.
well, because okay, in Beetlejuice she plays this weird kid that can see the dead.
Yeah.
And then Stranger Things she plays this very protective, strong mom who wants the best for her kids. And so she plays a weird character and then a character that's like over the top, but more of in a good mom sort of way, where she's really looking out for her boys. So we've got to see her as a mom and her as a kid. So I think there is quite a bit of range there.
Yeah.
Where
I mean, it's been a while to see Stranger Things, so I do have to rewatch it.
yeah, because you've seen season 1, so we got to watch the whole series.
Another Winona Ryder, and I know you recently just watched this. Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, so good, and she's so great in that. She's so great in that film. Because you have a woman in that film who has a desire to. She's with her husband and or fiance or whatever, and she's okay with him. But then she meets Dracula, who treats her differently and who she falls for. So you get the appeal of wanting to be with him, and so that we'll have to review. That one's really fun, but she's great. I will say Kiana Madeira. She's my number 2 actress. She is in Fear Street. She plays Dina, the lead girl in Fear Street. She's also in, if I can find it. See, that's why I want to rearrange from A to Z on some of my stuff, because I a lot of times will forget where I put certain movies. She's in a film. Oh, I see it over here. I can't reach it. She's in a film called Perfect Addiction. So basically, Perfect Addiction is about a girl who, we'll have to watch this one. It's different. The movie goes different than the book. Basically, her boyfriend gets injured. He's an MMA fighter. He's a champion. He gets injured, so she takes care of him. Well, she leaves. She's at work. She goes to get his recovery stuff and his workout stuff. She comes home and he's having sex with her sister.
Oh.
So she decides the only way to get revenge on him is to train a guy who could potentially defeat him as champion. So the best revenge is seeing him get his butt kicked. So it's a really good film. She's also in a show called Trinkets, which is about 3 girls who have had horrible things happen to them, and they process it by stealing. So they go to an AA for theft, basically. And the show is great. Her character, you root for her, but she has a way of playing these raw characters with a lot of like strong emotion. I want to see more from her because she's only had a few projects that I've seen. I know she was in one, but she's not like a big character in it. So I'm curious to see what she can do. But she's one that I really enjoy her on screen, and she's cute. I mean, I'll be honest, she's one of my few celebrity crushes. But no, her range. She's very like in your face. Like in Fear Street, she plays a lesbian in the '90s, which would have been rough.
Yes.
To be a lesbian in that time, but that's a whole other topic. But she's great in that, and she brings this edginess, and her brother have a cool dynamic in the Fear Street films. And she's kind of like doom and gloom, but she's very real. Her character is like very, what you see is what you get. You know, she's not trying to put on a show. She's not trying to play people. She's very raw. So I like her a lot. So that's one of my top. I put her as my second favorite. She used to be number 1, but that's changed. We won't spoil. We'll get into that later. But okay, do you have somebody else?
Getting a little, well, quite a bit older actors. Bela Lugosi.
Who?
Bela Lugosi. For those of you that do not know the name, he played Dracula in the 1931 movie.
I haven't seen that one, so
I'm going to have to show you a bunch of my old Universals I've got.
Yes.
Those classic Universal monsters. Those are what got me into my love of film. I was about 6th grade when my dad got a copy of the 75th anniversary of Dracula on DVD, and I've been in love with film ever since. So a combination of Lugosi, and then immediately after me and my brother finished watching that because we loved it, Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah. As the what monster?
Frankenstein.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And yes, and that's another one of my favorites is Karloff. But them two together really got me into my love of film. Those old style movies.
Okay.
There's plenty of other older actors like that, but those two, those what sparked the interest in. Well, to be honest, it gets out of control sometimes.
With your film collecting, or
Yeah, because like, do I really have the money to buy this?
or do you really have the room for this movie?
I sort of snuck in 2 for 1, so go ahead.
No, no, I was letting you finish what you were saying.
Well, like I said, yeah, Lugosi. A lot of I've seen him in a few other things besides the monsters, but that's usually what he's best known for, is being in the quite a few of the Universal monsters. He only played Dracula twice on film. Once in the 31 film, and then again in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. The other character he played in the Universal sets is Igor.
Igor lad.
He played Igor, and I love him in it. And then there's this another actor who I do enjoy, but I don't know much about him. Played a fictionalized version of Lugosi in Ed Wood.
I'll have to. That's one I still need to watch. We'll have to sit down.
Because the movie Ed Wood with that it's actually about this director's life. The director's name is Ed Wood, and he's got quite a few weird movies under his belt.
Okay. All right, Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
He's one that at first when we were sitting down, I wasn't going to say, but I was looking at my shelf and Zombieland. That moment of when he actually gets the Twinkie is one of the best moments in film. You've never cheered for a food item so much in your life. But the fact that he gets that dang Twinkie, finally gets the Twinkie, I thought that was amazing.
The reason I walked over to get this is range. You look at Zombieland, it's a light-hearted comedy.
Yes, and Zombieland 2. Double tap.
And
I
then
finally got the 4K.
I've got the second Venom movie where he plays a psychopath. And oh my god, the difference is like a night and day.
I also have Semi-Pro with him and Will Ferrell. The point is, he has tremendous range. He can do serious, psycho. He can do comedy. He has so much charisma, and nothing feels forced with his characters. He always feels like that he naturally is becoming that character. I really enjoy his work, and he's one that I think I don't think they forget about him necessarily, but I think he doesn't get brought up as much as he should be brought up.
Yep.
Another one, I know you did too, Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
Ted, was it Patriots Day he did, I want to say?
One of those. I've not seen Ted, but I've seen enough clips online. It looks hilarious.
I have both. We'll have to watch those. Ted and Ted 2. The thing with Ted, now they have a show too, but he's not in that. The thing with Ted is Mark Wahlberg comes across as this tough action guy role. So in Ted, whenever him and the teddy bear are fighting,
oh god,
and he gets crushed by the TV, and he goes, "You crushed my nuts, man!" You can't stop laughing because Mark Wahlberg does a great job in the comedic role, which you wouldn't expect from him because once again, he looks like this big, beefy, tough guy. But he plays comedy so well, and he even plays nerd. There's one scene. Actually, you know what? I can't spoil that for you because it'll ruin it. There are so many. There's a Lord of the Rings reference in Ted 2. They look at this girl and they go, "She has the F me eyes," and he goes, "No, she has give me the ring eyes." And it's great. Like they make fun of her, and there are other film references I won't spoil for you, but I thought that you would get a kick out of that.
Oh, that one especially since I've been on a recent Middle Earth kick.
But Mark Wahlberg. Oh, also, no, that's not the right film. The other guys.
I believe that was him. Yeah.
Yeah, him and Will Ferrell together. I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly. They can't fly. Well, if they get a running start, but those two together, because at the beginning you think Samuel L. Jackson, The Rock, going to be a big star. That you don't think, well, I'm thinking, aim for the bushes.
Yeah.
They jump, and there's not a bush around. They just hit the concrete. But he's so good at whatever he does. He can do comedy. He can do drama. Is it Patriots Day? There's a movie about the Boston bombings, and they're looking for the suspects, and he's so great in that too. So he can go from serious to comedy, and He's another name. Oh, Uncharted with him and Tom Holland. And Tom Holland's another one I love.
Yes.
I love the Spider-Man. I'm a Spider-Man fanboy.
I mean,
And I went of the MCU. The only films I saw more than once were Avengers. I saw 3 times. I saw Spider-Man: Homecoming 2 or 3, and I saw the second one 3 days in a row because I had different friends that wanted to go see it. But I love Tom Holland as well. Okay, who? Oh, because of his range, and he plays both Peter Parker and Spider-Man really well. I thought he was the best of both worlds.
Yes. Okay. Jumping off of like the other guys in the MCU, Samuel L. Jackson.
Mother.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorite actors from the Shaft movie from the 80s.
I haven't seen that one.
To Mace Windu. To Nick Fury. I mean, I love Samuel L. Jackson. He's one of my favorite actors. And him, Wesley Snipes, I mean, I've got a lot of the ones you named have been sort of big name, but I do love quite a few of the actors that may be considered part of the minority. Denzel Washington. Yeah.
Denzel Washington. I've watched the first Equalizer, but I bought 2 and 3, so I plan on watching all 3 of those. Denzel Flight, Man on Fire, Out of Time. He is, to me, Denzel Washington, to me, is one of the greatest actors of all time because he brings, as soon as you see him on screen, you know shit's about to go down. He brings this level of depth and seriousness to his roles. When I sat down and watched, I don't know if you've seen the first Equalizer, but when I sit down and watch The Equalizer, I'm like, holy crap. In Flight, have you seen Flight?
I've heard about it. I've seen clips.
Basically, I'll tell you this. Flight is... His character is an alcoholic. And he is hooking up with one of the flight attendants. And basically, when the plane crash happens, real life, I don't think nobody survived. But in the movie, he saves all these people. They changed it from the real story. But basically, he's in this court case, and he's sitting there, and the only people with alcohol in the system were him and the flight attendant that he's like dating. So he either lets a dead person take the fall for this, or he takes drunk. And finally he says, I was drunk the day before, I was drunk the day of, and I'm drunk or I was drunk last night. So he finally comes out and says, yes, I'm an alcoholic. And he uses that to become better. So I like the realness of the character because he falls back, he gets better, he goes to a motel the day before the trial, and they leave a fridge full of alcohol. And then you want him to succeed, but then he falls back again. So it's very real, like the struggle of alcohol, of drinking, which I relate to that because I don't drink at all. I have personal reasons, but like I really connected with this character. But he brings a level of realness that a lot of actors struggle with, and it's so effortless. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's effortless for him, but he does it in every film he's in.
I'm looking at that using actors that actually you see can struggle with everyday life just like me or you. It lets us connect with them more.
Yeah, whenever your character can portray an everyday life, you connect to it more. Another actor I think doesn't get talked about a lot because he mostly does action films. And I'm so excited for Constantine 2, but Keanu Reeves. Keanu has this coolness factor that he automatically brings. He's been through a lot in his real life. He's one of the kindest people you'll ever hear about. But John Wick, The Matrix, of course, which I need to rewatch those. I know the first one's the best one, but I need to rewatch it. I haven't watched them as a kid.
Once again, Bram Stoker's Dracula. He was Winona Ryder's fiance.
And that was a different sort of role. That was early days, and he has more talent than people give him credit
for. And using his early days, look back the Bill and Ted movies.
I haven't seen those.
He was teenager, early 20s, maybe a little older, but he looks really young. And him and Alex Winter, his co-star, they play like a couple of teenagers. They are completely immature.
I need to watch those. Cyberpunk. He plays Johnny Silverhand, a guy that gets implanted into your head, and he was alive before, and he's brought back as like an AI, but he's in your head, and then you see him, and he's trying to help you survive this virus that has taken over you. I need to finish the game because I had a game-breaking glitch to where I've had to restart, and I went to restart. Then they updated the games where the level system is different, went higher, so now I need to restart again. But
you just can't catch a break.
No, now I bought it day one too. Now that Phantom Liberty has come out, and now there's a subway system and all this, I'm gonna restart it, play through the main story, and then go to Phantom Liberty. But I want to play it because there's a coolness factor he brings. Whenever they did the trailer for the game was one of the worst launched in gaming history.
I'm
but
not playing it myself, but I do remember all the
CD Projekt Red being so great, it's also the best comeback story in gaming history because they were able to make it amazing. So I want to give it a fair shot. The graphics were good, but I had it on the one, and it automatically, if you bought it on the one digitally, it automatically got upgraded to the Series X as well, kind of how they did with Witcher. Great game, one of the best, a great game. I need to replay, but he brings this coolness factor. When he walked out on stage when they showed the trailer, he came out to announce the game. Everyone went nuts because it's Keanu Reeves, and he, like I said, he just has this coolness factor. And John Wick, the man went through so much. Those films are not, and every film got better. My favorite, though, I've seen all four. I know you haven't seen four, right?
I've seen the first two.
My favorite in this series is three, although I love the origin story because you have his wife who had cancer, gives him a dog, and they kill that dog. That would piss anybody off. But the line that makes me the happiest is whenever the arrogant, cocky son, he says, "Who is he? The boogeyman?"
No, this is the guy who said to kill the boogeyman.
That right there was like one of the best lines. But the third one's my favorite. But all four of them are great. The fourth one's like almost 3 hours.
Nothing new.
But they're also working on Ballerina comes out this year, which is 3.5. It's the events between 3 and 4.
And then
that sets up to 4.
And then on Peacock we also got Continental. I know that doesn't involve Keanu, but part of the John Wick universe.
I'll have to check that out. I like the rules of the Continental. Okay, back to actors and actresses.
Okay, I got one I'm surprised we hadn't brought her up before.
Go for it.
Betty White. My introduction to Betty White was Lake Placid.
I haven't seen that one.
Crocodile. That's all I'm going to say. Crocodile.
Is that one we need to watch, you think?
Yes. Betty White is hilarious in that movie.
Okay, we have to talk about the Golden Girls and The Proposal.
Okay, Golden Girls was another introduction to Betty White outside of that. But her comedic is great.
Dusty Muffin. Saturday Night Live, she did a skit called Dusty Muffin.
Oh my god.
And they're like, "Is that a taste of cherry? Oh, honey, I haven't had a cherry since." And then she says it's the year. And they're like, most bakers of your age would have more of a yeasty muffin. You're surprisingly tender. And they get moist. And they get into it. And then The Proposal. Have you seen that?
No.
I need to buy that. So, okay. Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds are...
a couple of good actors.
She is from Canada in this movie. In order to become a citizen, to stay working at this place, she needs to get married. So they fake a relationship, and they actually start falling for each other. But Betty White plays the grandma.
Oh, God.
There's a scene. Betty White's in the woods around a bonfire. To the windows, to the wall, to the backdrop, and my pool. And she's out there dancing in the woods, and she tries to get Sandra Bullock's character to de-stress. So they start doing it together.
Oh, God. Okay, looking back to Lake Placid, funniest scene I got in that movie is they're going to hunt the crocodile. And Betty White's character lives on the lake where this crocodile lives. So she's been taking care of it. And it's like, I'm rooting for the crocodile. Is that against the law to root for the chewing of law enforcement? Between that one and when the cop upsets her, she listens to the arrows. If I had a tip, this is why I tell you to suck it. But that was Betty White. She didn't pull her punches, which made it great. I would have loved to have met the woman.
Oh yeah. My favorite story of Betty White comes from a coworker of mine. She talked about opening a strip club.
Oh my god.
She had all these men come in and do these dances and stuff and audition. And then after it was over, she said, "Well, Thanks for all the dances, guys, but I've decided I'm not going to open a strip club. And then she said, that's how you live to be old, is you have to keep things interesting for yourself. So she had no intention of actually starting a strip club, but she wanted some dances. So
Yeah.
she brought all these men in for auditions. That was Betty White. She
Yeah.
was a character. And her comedic timing in Golden Girls, there is a scene she does where she talks about the War of the Great Herring, and it's all improv. Like they're all trying, or she did it so well, they're all trying not to break character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so great because they're asking her these questions and they're cracking up as they're, but her as Rose in the Golden Girls, her time. That's why I watched that show because
of yeah. I mean, they all four of them.
They're all great.
Was good, but Betty White was at the time that when I watched it, she was the name to me. She was the one I knew.
I knew. God, I can't think of the actress's name.
That happens to me all the time.
Maude. I knew for her. I'd seen Maude a little bit, so I knew. I think her name was Bo, or she was the big, tall. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Sophia's daughter. I can't think of her character name in Golden Girls. But she played Maude. But anyways, yeah, Betty White, man, one of the best. I want to. I'll have to buy and show you the proposal sometime. That's one of the best comedies ever. Ryan Reynolds, Sandra Bullock, Betty White. What else can you
God
sell you?
I mean, even without Sandra Bullock,
just those three.
Just Ryan Reynolds and Betty.
I mean, Betty White playing Sandra Bullock's, or not Sandra Bullock, Ryan Reynolds' grandma.
That makes perfect sense.
There's a scene where she fakes a heart attack in order to get them to stop fighting when they're in a helicopter. So it's funny. Like she's great. One of the all-time greats. And we miss her wit. I already miss her because whenever she passed, they were getting ready to release a 100th birthday movie, and they had to scrap it because she died just days before her birthday.
I know, and when I heard about her passing, I'm like, no. I called my mother. I'm like, we lost another celebrity. And she's like, who? I'm like, Betty White. She's like, no.
Because she died in 2020, right? I believe.
Yeah.
So they said she didn't actually die. She did the scene with Gandalf where he falls up, where she says, 2020, I'm taking you out with me, you son of a bitch. And, sorry for cussing, but that's how
she went from Betty Gray to Betty White.
Right.
She
they
took out the Valhalla.
She took out the worst of 2020 with her. Was kind of the point of that. Because in 2020 we lost Kobe Bryant, my all-time favorite athlete, and we lost Betty White in the same year. It was a rough year. 2020 was shit.
The early 20s so far have been rough for celebrities.
And just in life in general.
Yeah, I mean, we also lost Meatloaf.
Dude, I don't think I cooked any.
Uh-huh.
No, I know. I'm not familiar with him, but I've heard of him.
Singer.
Yeah.
And I do like his
work. Okay, we have to talk about actresses and actors.
I don't know much about the Vampire Diaries, so.
Nina Dobrev, the girl in the middle there with the nice cleavage.
Really, though?
Well, I mean, cover. All three of them, though. Ian Somerhalder, Paul Wesley, all three of them.
Is the inside case the same? Because it looks like there's a...
She left the show because of a real-life breakup with her co-star, Ian Somerhalder.
Okay, I was going to say, is the inside case the same? Because I didn't know what the gloss was in the frame of the camera.
No, there's no gloss on the... there's all kinds of stuff in here. But I need to get the rest of the series. I actually want to get seasons 1 and 2 on Blu-ray because these were gifts on DVD. I need to go back because I have more of the seasons on Blu-ray. But, okay, so Nina Dobrev is known for a lot of things. Nina Dobrev played both Elena and her doppelganger, Catherine, in the Vampire Diaries. Catherine's a vampire, Elena's a human. We start the show where...
How different are the characters?
Very different. So let me put it this way. We start the show where Elena's... I'll have to show it to you sometime, because here's basically the premise, without spoiling the whole show. We start the show where Nina plays Elena, who is a high schooler who her parents and her were in a bad car accident, and she's the only one that survives. Both of her parents drowned. Someone pulls her out. So the start of the show is her basically after the summer this happened, and her trying to get back to her normal life, and she meets Stefan, who has come back to Mystic Falls because he knows about her, and she looks just like Catherine, who he dated years and years ago. I mean, Stefan at this point is over 100, I want to say, and but her character goes through tragedy. So her and her brother, in the book, she has a sister, not a brother, but her and her brother, who's also in high school, who's turned to drugs, they're living with her aunt, which would have been her mom's sister after this tragedy. She meets Stefan, who they just fall in love. And the real actor and actress couldn't stand each other when the show started. But she falls in love with Stefan, who's very compelling, and she asks, "What are you?" And they have different rules. In Vampire Diaries, the Lord, yes, they can go in the sun, but only if they have a daylight ring that has been blessed by a witch. A witch has to create a daylight ring for them. If they're wearing the ring and die, they get to come back. If the ring is taken off of them and they're killed, they're dead.
Okay.
So that's the only reason they can go in the sun is from a daylight ring.
Okay, so there's okay.
And
I don't mind the different lore.
They made their own lore. The whole thing is there is a curse on vampires and werewolves. If a vampire breaks the curse of the moonstone, then vampires will all be able to go out in the sun without the rings. If a werewolf breaks the curse, they will no longer be forced to turn at a full moon. They'll be able to only turn so it's whoever breaks the curse. That's where we start the show.
Oh joy!
So they make their own lore. There's vampires, there's werewolves, there's hybrids, there are tribrids. So you have werewolf vampire mix, you have werewolf witch, vampire witch. These are all possible mixes. Then you have werewolf vampire witch, tribrid.
Oh god!
So there's all these lores, all these different rules. I will say one thing I don't like about the show is the girl who plays Kat Graham, she's another one that's good, who plays Bonnie Bennett the witch, because she's black. One of the executive producers were racist against her and shit all over her character and ruined her character. They made it up to her at some point, but they gave her the shittiest ending too. And she is probably one of the best. Actually, Ian had to threaten to quit to get her equal treatment. That's how far it went.
That's not right.
Yeah, at the panels they ignore her. Not her co-stars. Their co-stars get pissed and defend her, but the executive producer, when they do interviews, they ignore her. They don't listen to her. They don't treat her with respect. She actually just started doing the Vampire Diaries convention with the big ones every year in Chicago. I still need to go. But Nina Dobrev's great. She left the show because her and Ian broke up in her life. She comes back for the series finale, but they had to change the story, and the show was not as good. But her credits are Vampire Diaries, Let's Be Cops, but my favorite, let's see, hold on, Love Hard. That movie is her. She matches with this guy online. She's had all these tragic dating stories. Her character writes about it, and she meets a guy online. She shows up to this guy's house in New York, and it's not him. It's a guy that's posing as the guy she was supposed to meet.
Oh.
It's an Asian guy that has no confidence, and so he agrees. Hey, listen, you're already here. Yes, I scammed you. I catfished you, but the guy who I faked a profile of also lives here in town. Let me set you up with him. And so we get this story of her, but then she also pretends to be someone she's not, to try to win this other guy over who has different interests. So it's kind of like a double wrong thing.
Yeah.
And then her and the guy that is helping her are helping each other with certain things because she's staying with his family, and the family thinks that they're a real couple. So it's very complex. It's a Netflix exclusive, very good. And then she also did 2 other movies that you and I need to watch. The Final Girls, which is the one about the girl whose mom dies.
Yeah.
They go to the anniversary of when she died, go to the film, and then when they go into the film, it becomes real, but how the film plays out is not what actually happens when they get there. And she's one of the characters in there. And then she's in a new one with Adam Devine called The Outlaws. It's where they suspect her parents are bounty hunters. Cool. So that's another Netflix comedy. And the funniest part of that film, I will tell you this: the boyfriend is dressed as Shrek to rob a bank, and he saves a guy that he fights with that's having a heart attack. So he is trying to become a robber, but he ends up becoming a hero because he saves a guy in the process. So it's a really lighthearted, funny film. I laughed my butt off at it. I think Brian and I watched it together. I thought it was you and me, but it was me and Brian. But she has a lot of range, and the biggest thing is people are giving her a hard time because she doesn't look the same. It's called aging. Yeah. She's in her 30s now. She's still very attractive, but her hair looks different. People think she had like Botox. She didn't. It's just because she's eight. She was like 17 or 18 at the time the Vampire Diaries started. So obviously she's gonna look different.
Yeah.
But she's a great actress, and she's more than just looks. And actually, I forgot another film she's in on Netflix. There's a film, and I spent more time talking about it than I wanted to, but she's in a film. Or no, you know what? I'm getting her confused with Victoria Justice. Her and Victoria Justice they get compared a lot because they both kind of have dark hair and
Yeah.
they sort of look similar. She's the one I like, but she's great. She's underrated, and I think she deserves more mainstream, bigger roles for what she can do. All right, give me somebody because I went a long time with that.
Morgan Freeman.
One of the best.
Yes. If you haven't seen it already, get on YouTube when you're done watching this video. Look up Morgan Freeman on helium.
What?
Yes.
I need to check this out.
One of the funniest videos ever. Almost everybody knows he's got one of those distinct voices. All the voiceover work he does. Him on helium is funny.
I'll have to check that out. What are some of your favorite movies of his?
Bruce Almighty, when he is God. And then other end of the spectrum, Seven.
I haven't seen that one.
Him and Brad Pitt play a couple.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
They play a couple detectives who are hunting the serial killer that uses the 7 deadly sins as inspiration.
Ooh.
Each of his victims matches up to one of the 7 deadly sins. So completely opposite ends of the spectrum, and Freeman nails both of them.
Yeah.
That is his range.
Bucket List?
Yes, another one. Him and Jack Nicholson is another great actor.
Lucius Fox in the Batman films. Oh, he was so good in that.
Oh, yes. And being able to play off, and not just the serious tones, but every once in a while it's like, didn't you get the memo? At the end, I'm like, oh, boom, threw that right back in his face.
I don't want to be mixed up here, but isn't he in Now You See Me?
Yes.
It's been a while since I've watched those, but he was great in those too.
Yes, he's the guy that disproves magic.
That's right. Everything I've seen him in, though, I've never seen him play a character poorly. Never.
Yeah. Another cop character he plays is Alex Cross. Alex Cross. That's the character in the movies Kiss the Girl and Along Came a Spider. They're based off James Patterson books.
Oh.
But he plays the main character in great movies. So a lot of the actors we're naming have great range. They're mainly known for one thing. But a lot of the ones we're naming have spectacular range.
Well, I think it shows that I tell people I will check out entertainment, anything that looks interesting. I don't care if it's a girly movie. I don't care what kind of film it is. If it sounds intriguing, either the story or the cast, I will go see it.
Okay, yeah. There's been some of those so-called girly movies that I've really enjoyed and laughed my butt off at.
Yes. And since we talked about Batman, Michael Caine is another great one. He does not get enough love. He has been great. The whole Batman cast was amazing, but him.
Well, the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
You say Batman cast, you always with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, but with the with the trilogy, with Nolan's trilogy, Michael Caine brings a different Alfred to the screen to where you really like him. And that scene at the end of The Dark Knight Rises where he goes to the restaurant, he sees
Bruce and Selina, yeah.
Yeah, that was the perfect ending to a trilogy. Like, just the way they did that. But Michael Caine, he is trying to protect Bruce Wayne as best he can. And even though Bruce Wayne is going to, do what he's going to give everything he can to Gotham, Michael Caine
is
trying to stop him and trying to talk some sense into him.
Not entirely stop him, but definitely, it's like, hey, slow down, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want to. He even says it in, I think, Rises, where it's like, I already had to bury your parents. I don't want to have to bury you, or something along those lines. It's been a while. I don't remember these.
But whenever you think Batman's dead, when the thing blows up and you think he's dead, and then you see him at the restaurant, you're like, that was the best ending they could have come up with. And there are a lot of people that complain about The Dark Knight Rises. They think that
First of all, killing the Batman. Good luck. You're never actually going to sell that you actually killed the Batman. He's too popular of character, even if they do kill him off.
well, we did kill him off in the video game we played, so, where we played Gotham
Nice.
Knights.
That was a great opening. I haven't made it very far into the game, but the opening was great.
Wait till the ending, but yeah, Batman, man.
I mean,
well, that's a different video. We'll do a Batman video
we got
sometime,
yeah. Just looking
but
at
Michael Caine's great in those films.
just looking at the cast of the different Batman movies. We mentioned Nicholson. I love his Joker.
Pattinson.
That one surprised me because before I watched the Batman, and I did this very recently, I watched it on HBO Max. I don't actually own it yet. I do want to own it, but I known Pattinson from two roles: Cedric Diggory and Edward Cullen. So when I heard he got cast as Batman, I'm like, of course, in the joke, it's that worst vampire ever. Took him how long to turn into a bat?
I really.
But seeing him as Bruce Wayne, he is a great actor. I realize he does have range. It's just what I had seen him in. I mean, I'll admit, I'm not the biggest Twilight fan.
Okay, I was about to say this. For what they gave him, compared to the books are way better, but I actually enjoy his performance in Twilight. The only thing is his character is not the most likable because of New Moon, whenever he just leaves her in the woods.
Agreed.
And is kind of like, screw you. The two films I saw Pattinson in that made me really appreciate him a lot, besides Diggory. I liked him as Diggory, but he's in there very briefly. I'm looking at the films right now, but once again I have trouble reaching them. Water for Elephants.
I've heard of that, but
There's
never
an
seen
old
it.
man at the start of the film who wanders to a police station. They think he's lost or whatever, and he tells a story of his time in the circus, and he falls in love with Reese Witherspoon's character, and it sort of shows the tragedy. He loses his dad. He goes through all of this stuff in his life. He doesn't get the girl. It's one of those stories to where things don't work out for him. So he plays the young version of the old man who's retelling his story. So, and then his best movie, I would say, before the Batman, Remember Me. So you have a guy who is lost in life. His dad is played by,
I guess that's Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan. So
who's another good? I mean, looking at these movies we're listing,
his little sister, he has a little sister, and the dad sort of ignores him. And I don't know if we'll watch this because but basically, he's trying to get his dad to shape up, and his dad's not. So I will spoil this one. We might end up watching, might not, but I will say the message comes across really well. His dad does change because at the end of the film, he's meeting his dad at his workplace to talk to him. They're gonna have a heart to heart. His dad runs late, and then the end of the film just says September 11th, 2001. End of film. So he dies from the plane hitting the Twin Tower. That's to me his best role. It's so dramatic. It's so great. So
even if we don't watch it for the channel, I will have to check
we
that
might
out.
we might just watch it to watch it. But it's one of those films that if you don't tear up, I question you. But he plays this character who is just lost. He's lost. He doesn't know, and he connects with this girl who understands kind of him. And then her dad is a cop who roughs him up a bit before he even shows interest in her. So there's this whole story that plays out. But the Batman, so it didn't surprise me. What they did, I was worried about him, not as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne. So what they did, they went the whole story of he's obsessed with being Batman and solving this case. So they sort of took him, because I was worried he wouldn't play the Playboy side well.
I'm hoping when we get to the second one, because we already know there's a Batman 2 coming.
Yes.
That maybe they do let him do Bruce Wayne more and maybe see what he can do.
See, that's what I'm worried about. Him and Zoe Kravitz, that's another one, by the way, but she
who played Selena
auditioned for the Dark Knight trilogy, and they said, you're black, you can't be Catwoman. So the story of her getting denied and being
they denied her because she was black?
Yeah.
I mean, if I can understand why if they were trying to be faithful to the comic books. But at the same time, and this happens in reverse quite a bit. You can't whitewash everything.
No, but she's such a great actress.
Agreed. I enjoyed
I
her.
loved their chemistry in that film. The way, and she doesn't take away from Batman. She adds to it. The reason that movie works is because it's long. They didn't do the whole thing they struggled with a lot of superhero films where they're trying to put too many villains in. You have Colin Farrell, which you can't even recognize him as Penguin,
I know.
and you have Paul Dano as Riddler. Those two together as villains, that whole movie was great. But Zoe Kravitz is another one that I absolutely love her as an actress. She's so good. And those two together, man, between Pattinson and Kravitz, oh my God. And we're going to try to wrap. We have a few more people probably we want to talk about that we haven't talked about.
And let's say, let's maybe do one more each. And
I'm going to say, let's do like 2 or 3 more each because there's still some, but we'll try to be more brief about some of them if we can.
All right.
Okay, go for them.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Legend.
Exactly.
Legend.
I mean, look,
not appreciated enough.
She's done stuff without depth. But more than that, I mean, when you see her, it's opposite Johnny Depp. She's the Red Queen in the live action Alice in Wonderland movie.
She also killed Sirius Black.
Yes, she did.
Sadly.
In Sweeney Todd, she's the.
She was great in that. See,
Oh,
that's
I
love the cast in the movie. I need to give it a rewatch. But
the thing about that is, the amount of vocal training she had to go, because if you listen to the songs she sings, there's not a lot of room for breathing.
No.
Which is so impressive.
She's great.
Yes.
And all the Burton stuff she's done, top tier.
And I did love her in Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah. The one that stands out to me the most, though, Alice in Wonderland.
Now, tidbit with Deathly Hallows Part 2, because it's post Gringotts break-in. I think it was 2 when they did the Gringotts. Yeah. Yep, because 1 ended with Malfoy and Manor, so beginning of 2 was the Gringotts. You see, Helena Bonham Carter, how they did that was they had, on set anyway, Emma Watson do it first. Because the character is supposed to be Hermione disguised as Bellatrix.
Right.
So they had Emma Watson do it first, and then you got Bonham trying to replicate Emma Watson. So you got her pretending to be Hermione, pretending to be Bellatrix.
Oh, it was so great.
And it works out so well.
Every time she shows up on screen, you want her to get her butt kicked.
When she finally gets her butt kicked at the end of
Molly Weasley, not my daughter. That's one of the most iconic things. But every time she shows up on the screen, you know something bad's about to happen. The scene that I could not actually watch with her was the scene where she's torturing Hermione. I was like, oh my God, no, I can't do this.
Understandable. I mean, because
the way that the non-purebloods, the way they hate them in the film, she's so convincing in that role that I'm still able to separate that. That's not really her, because she's a sweet person in real life, but Hermione's my favorite character, and the fact that she tortures her that way, I couldn't watch it. It was just, the way they did that was so convincing that, and I know there was a scene she said where she's holding the wand to Neville, it actually goes into his ear.
It punctures his eardrum. Yeah.
But she's such a great actress, and she played Bellatrix so convincingly that you want her to get her just dues at the end of the series, and she does. Molly Weasley, but that scene was the best because Molly Weasley's not someone you could see dueling very well, but the way they did that was perfect. And in the book, when I read that, I'm like, yes, but she brings Bellatrix to life. Like, she even brought Bellatrix to life even better than what I thought she was going to be like from the books. Like, I was like, yeah, they got that casting perfect.
All right, why range here? Just because I know we're trying to limit it.
Emma Watson.
Agreed. I was just going to say the cast of Harry Potter in general.
Yeah. But Emma Watson, oh my God. Like, the movie with her, I want to show you with Tom Hanks, The Circle. It's an example of great casting, but very lackluster ending. They built this up and they went weird places. The cast performed it really well. I kept it in my collection because I wanted to keep an example of great concept, great
bad execution.
Bad execution. Perks of Being a Wallflower.
I've heard of that one. I know it's based off a book. I've not read.
It's very
or
heartbreaking.
seen.
It's tragic, but it's great. She's great in that. But my favorite, besides the Potter films, my favorite film with her, I don't see it. Oh, here it is. And yes, people give a hard time about the singing stuff, but I love her in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh,
I went to the theaters opening day. I was supposed to go with Stephanie and Andrew. They were dicking around. They didn't get there in time. They sold out all 3 shows that day. And they could not. So I had to go alone because they didn't make it. But I feel like that's one of her best
some
films.
people don't really care too much for the live action Disney.
That one's great, though. That one's my favorite because you have Sir Ian McClellan, Ewan McGregor, Emma Watson. I mean, the cast is just top level. But Emma Watson is very intelligent. And the one film I wasn't able to finish with her is The Bling Ring.
She actually
had to give it a try.
She had to actually take a break from going to college.
Really?
Not partly due to Harry Potter. Because every time she'd answer a question, someone would be as smart as and go, 5 points to Gryffindor.
I wouldn't have done that.
I can understand doing it once or twice.
Yes.
But if she had asked...
I think she went to Brown University here in the States.
If she had asked, please stop, I would, out of respect. She was trying to learn. It's like, okay, funny,
One time, great. After that, no more.
Yeah.
All right, let's just, okay, go ahead.
Chadwick Boseman.
Wakanda Forever.
And that is the only movies I'm familiar with. That's the only
42. He plays Jackie Robinson as well.
I'm familiar with the movie, but not seen it. But
I'll show it to you.
I'm only familiar with his stuff in the MCU at the moment. That's what I've seen.
Oh.
And I wish I could have seen. I wish he could do more because what I've seen him done with like the Black Panther with T'Challa, I loved. So I'm going to have to look for more of his stuff.
I didn't. There was another film I can't think of the title that he came out with before he passed that also was really good. But the thing with him, he brought so much believability to his character. In Black Panther learns from the villain. The villain has points that are correct.
Yeah.
So he's even able to say, you know what? Wakanda does need to do better. So I like the realness and the evolving, and it was a surprise hit. But I think a lot of that is because of how great he is. And in 42, him playing Jackie Robinson, the things Jackie Robinson had to go through just to be the first black player in MLB.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He played that character perfectly, and the hate he went through. I mean, you're talking people did not want to play because they had a black player on the Dodgers. And Harrison Ford plays in that movie as well.
Another great actor.
Another great actor. But those two together. But yeah, Chadwick Boseman, he had an untimely death. I wish he would have been around longer. And the fact that he kept silent about having cancer, people made fun of him. They said, "You've lost so much weight." They thought he was becoming anorexic or something. And he was battling colon cancer.
And didn't tell anybody. And knowing that he was going through that. And rewatching Civil War.
We'll have to watch Panther, 42 together.
Rewatching the MCU stuff and knowing what he was fighting. It's just like impressive what he did. Knowing what he was fighting.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because I've had family that fought exactly that.
It's heartbreaking. It's sad.
And seeing what they go through, knowing what he was putting up with, and still brought us this amazing character.
42 is one of the best baseball films ever made, but he plays that role so well that it's one that's why I'm trying to get through my collection that I haven't seen because what I'm probably going to do is go back and forth between stuff I want to rewatch and that we'll have to review. Side topic real quick. Your Name we'll have to review for the channel. The best anime, I actually put the alternate cover on it, but it's the best anime film in my opinion ever made.
Oh, it's one of these.
You have.
I've only seen a couple.
I won't spoil
I've only
anything,
seen a couple of those.
But we'll watch this together.
I don't
sometime.
know what the actual name for those are. But
we need to watch this, and we need to watch.
But there's also Kiki's Delivery Service.
Fairy Tale. Another great anime show. That's one I want to show you sometime. But yeah, Chadwick Boseman, untimely death, great actor, very good. Another one, Madeline Petch and Cole Sprouse, both from Riverdale. Madeline plays this girl who her parents are horrible people. They're into drugs. They're selling them, that is. They treat her like dirt. She's a lesbian. Her mom treats her poorly because of that. And that character, she plays this snarky, sassy teenager who we hate at the beginning of the show. But the minute she picks up the bow and arrow, I fell in love. That's when she became one of my celebrity crushes. But yeah,
Okay.
picking up, she's great. Let's do two more each.
I'm unfamiliar with her, but you mentioned Cole Sprouse.
Cole Sprouse.
I was introduced to both him and his brother probably a lot like you were. Sweet Life of Zack
Big
and
Daddy
Cody.
was my introduction to them.
Well, that okay. Individually, Sweet Life of
Yes.
Zack and Cody. Sharing the role. I loved them in Big Daddy.
Yes. And this past November, they were finally able to get their
Reservation, yes. October 16th, 2023. That's in
October,
15 years.
Yeah, they finally got, and they even did a video with the actress who played the.
Yeah, the hostess.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I'm like, yes.
Now Cole Sprouse will be in a new film coming out, and we're gonna go see it probably in the next week or two. Lisa Frankenstein. He
Yes.
is a Victorian era age boy who is brought back from the dead and from a tanning bed. And they're trying to give him different body parts by killing people in order to bring back his humanity. And he is such a good. In Riverdale, I don't know if you watched Riverdale. He plays
but I never really sat down
the
much.
narrator of the show, Jughead Jones.
He's Jughead, okay.
And the show goes all kinds of wacky, but it's supposed to be his comic books. At one point, a bomb hits and they all get superpowers. He gets the power to read minds. But he is such a good character. He comes from my favorite role obviously is Jughead, but he comes from a bad home life where his dad is the leader of the Southside Serpents, kind of a gang, and his dad's in prison at the start of the show, and he has a bad home life, or he's not in prison, but he's getting ready to be. He has a bad home life, and he lives in a theater, and his character loves films, and they're going to tear down this theater. And so he starts going to Pop's chocolate shop, where Pop Tate gives him free burgers, free shakes. He's a writer. So he's a writer and a movie lover, so I connect to him right away. But we'll have to watch the first two seasons. I would argue are great, and then the show gets weird. Luke Perry passing changes that, but he is an amazing actor. Let's do two more each though, and we'll call it. So who do you have?
Well, sticking with like the TV stuff, because actors I was introduced through TV shows, and I've recently discovered in other stuff. I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, but he's Harrison Wells in The Flash.
I haven't watched The Flash.
But I loved him. He is a great actor. I've only seen him in like one other thing, and that is a Hallmark movie. Yes, don't judge.
It's all right. Sometimes you have to watch those.
And it was great. The Flash, you get the superhero action show, and then this Hallmark movie, obviously, like most Hallmark movies, the love story. And the complete opposite that he takes the characters.
I'll have to check it out. Was it a drama type story?
I believe it was a drama. I do not remember the title off the top of my head. I just remember, hey, look, it's Harrison Wells.
Okay, because I own a Hallmark movie called Crown for Christmas with.
It wasn't that one.
Danica McKellar. That's a good one too.
I bought that one for my aunt for Christmas
great.
one year. I did enjoy it.
It's great. Okay, go ahead and look that up. So what was okay? So what else has he been in?
That's what I'm trying to remember because, like I said, I've only seen him in The Flash and
okay. Go ahead and look him up here. I'll bring up my next one in a minute, but
you can go ahead and talk about yours. I can.
Okay, my next one is Melissa Barrera. She plays Sam Carpenter, the oldest sister in Scream 5 and 6. Her and Ortega's chemistry together as sisters, you believe, and she's coming out in a movie called Abigail, where they kidnap a ballerina girl thinking she's just a girl, and she ends up being a vampire. She's great. She plays the daughter of a serial killer so well because she has that internal battle where she does have this internal darkness. And there's been this thing, I don't know if you heard of it, it's called the serial killer gene, where basically the theory is that there's in your DNA, if someone in your family was a killer, you have a higher chance of having it. They explore it in Riverdale, they explore it in other things, but the whole idea is that if your parents were serial killers, you may also become a serial killer kind of thing. So she has that internal battle of this darkness where when she picks up that knife, almost the serial killer in her takes over, like where she won't stop stabbing
Yeah,
her boyfriend.
Tom Cavanaugh. And I have seen him in something else.
Okay.
Yogi Bear.
I don't think I've seen that one. No, I haven't.
He's in the live action Yogi Bear. He's Ranger Rick.
Okay, no, I haven't seen that.
And that is funny. Because you got, I think it's, I don't know the two actors. I know Dan Aykroyd is one of the bears, and I don't remember who does the other one. But it is entertaining. And I think the one I was thinking of is Trading Christmas, because they end up swapping apartments.
Okay. I've heard the name. I have not seen it. All right, we got one more each. I'll let you. And we'll do a part 2, by the way. We are going to do a part 2 because we're already at an hour, so we'll do a part 2. But give me one more for now that you really enjoy.
Tom Hardy. I've only seen him in a couple things. The Venom movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then The Dark Knight Rises.
And I've seen the Mad Max as well.
I have not seen Fury Road yet. But I loved him as Bane. God. He really brought out the comic book version of Bane.
I'm Bane. I was born in the darkness.
I mean, the whole League of Shadows bit with Bane, that was a twist. But looking at the comics, Bane is not this dumb, muscular brute like he was portrayed as in Batman and Robin. Bane is intelligent. Watching just a video clip of Bruce Wayne, the stumbling, bumbling playboy, he figured out that the playboy is an act, that's Batman. He broke into the cave.
Yeah, Bane, him as Bane. With Tom Hardy, he always looks different. He doesn't always look the same. You know how when you watch, like, Tom Cruise, for example? Oh, it's Tom Cruise. It's hard to get into his character. With Tom Hardy, it's not
I know, I had to make sure it was the same Tom Hardy.
Yeah, whenever you see Tom Hardy, you don't know.
Because you get Venom and Tom Hardy. You get Venom, he's sort of like lanky, skinny, and then you go and realize this is also the same guy that bulked up to play Bane. And it's like, oh my god.
He is another one I feel like needs to be talked about more because, like I said, they give him all these crazy characters with different looks, and you don't see him as Tom Hardy on the screen. You see him as whatever character.
You see him as the character,
because he really gets into it. This is a very underrated film, by the way. Let There Be Carnage. I really think it gets more hate than it deserves. It's a very good film. I enjoy it for what it is, and I thought him and Woody Harrelson together, magic on screen. The scene where he goes and sees him in the cell. Oh my god!
They did play off each other well.
Yeah. Okay, I got to go with my number 1 actress.
Go ahead. I know this is coming.
She is my favorite actress and favorite person in all of Hollywood right now.
I was expecting you to grab the item off the desk.
Jenna Ortega.
Yep.
Icon. Already. She's only, 21? Saturday Night Live. She hosted an episode of Saturday Night Live.
She's already done SNL?
Yeah. It's on Peacock. I have it. They do a scene where she's standing in front of the Waffle House doing a breakup scene. Oh, and behind her in the Waffle House, all hell's breaking loose. So you have a serious scene in the front and a comedy scene behind her. They do a road trip video where it's like this happy song, but then bad stuff happens, and it just it goes from serious to funny. But I'll show you the episode sometime. We might even have to review it because it's great. But she hosts Saturday Night Live. She plays. Let's run through her IMDb. By the way, I love this because it's a limited edition box that they made. On the back, it's her coming down in the dress. It has her doing the dance on the sides and on the top, and then the bottom just sort of plain. But this is a collectible thing I got. I'm big into Wednesday. I have a massive crush on her. Not gonna lie.
The character Wednesday in general you've sort of gotten into, but it's because of Jenna Ortega that you have.
Her performance is next level. The fact that she learned how to fence, she learned another language, she learned how to play the cello. She had 20-hour work days on the set. It was
the
nuts.
cello, at least enough, maybe not all of it was so, but enough to appear convincing. And that still takes dedication.
And I didn't know her then, but she was the president's daughter in Iron Man 3.
See, I didn't realize that was her either.
I didn't either. But let me go over really quick, because I have to talk about her quite a bit, because I love this woman. She is in X, Now her character's kind of annoying, but she plays it well. Have I shown you this one?
No,
I
not
showed
yet.
this to a different
We
friend.
want to, but we haven't gotten
Okay,
around to
I
it.
showed this to a different friend. X, she plays what they call her church mouse. She's real quiet. She's plays Lorraine, who is the girlfriend of the guy that is filming the movie within the movie.
Yeah.
They go out to this farm. They rent a farmhouse from this old couple and decide to make adult videos. And then the couple gets jealous and they start killing. And there's a prequel called Pearl that she's not in that, but because that's about the old lady. Also, Saving Flora. If you do not cry in that film, it's about David Arquette is her dad. That was their first collaboration. They're gonna put down this elephant because she's old, and Jenna Ortega takes the elephant and says hell no and takes off.
Yeah.
That movie is great. She's in Yes Day. That's on Netflix. Great film where the parents have to say yes to everything for one whole day. She plays the oldest daughter. American Carnage, a film where daughters and sons of the children of illegals are either you can either go serve stay at this detention place or you can go take care of the elderly at this elderly care place. She has a lot of sass but my favorite film with her, Scream 5 and 6, obviously great. She plays Tara Carpenter. In 5, she plays more of the victim that's recovering from this attack, and then in 6, she's more of a fighter and more bold. In the core
Oh, yeah.
4, you gotta love them.
I mean, I know you mentioned Melissa Barrera earlier.
Yes.
The way they play off one another.
Oh, it's so good.
You could believe they're sisters.
Yeah, you can. And even when they when you see them, they have a reunion with the core 4. When you see them together in real life too, they really feel like they have that sister connection. But those two together, and you forget how tiny she is.
I know.
But she has and it's all in the eyes. She can.
I mean, I'm only
emotion.
about 5 foot, and I'm probably maybe a little bit shorter than her.
Probably. My favorite movie though with her of just acting, she's in a movie called The Fallout. I told you about that a little bit, I think. But basically, 2 girls survive a school shooting, and in the news, a lot of times it shows you life goes on. But this is about 2 characters who. Her character is a girl who survives a school shooting. Does not show the shooting, but she survives a shooting, and it's about what about somebody who has a hard time moving on, and it sort of goes through how she copes with everything. And then the most recent film I saw her and Martin Freeman are in Miller's Girl, and she plays Cairo Swede, and there are only like 5 main characters it focuses on, but she plays this girl who her parents are away, they're lawyers, so she has this mansion that she lives in by herself basically while her parents are in another country.
I have trouble staying in my apartment by myself, let alone a mansion. I get bored easy.
I do too.
When you live by yourself, it's boring. It's like I need someone to talk to.
Sometimes there are days where I can watch movies, play video games, and be fine with it. But yeah, I was used to having roommates all the time, so it was kind of rough at times. But anyways, her character lives in a mansion, and she has a friend, and she, the teacher that she's talking with, because she is 18, but he's still her teacher. Basically, he is not getting what he needs from home from his wife. That's no excuse still, though. She plays this very smart character who's she's a writer. She's big into reading, so they connect because it's her English teacher. And a relationship that should not happen develops. And there's a very adult themed, a lot of cussing, a lot of sexual references, a lot of stuff like that. But it's good. I'll buy a copy when it comes out so we can watch it together and review it because some of the audio was quiet at the theater. For the opening monologue she has, I cannot hear what she's saying. So I'm probably going to put on subtitles and we'll watch that together. But she's my favorite actress.
Quick question.
She's great.
With Miller's Girl.
Yeah.
Martin Freeman.
Yes.
I've seen him in both the Hobbit trilogy and Sherlock.
And in Black Panther.
And Black Panther. His range. Does he do the other end well with Miller's Girl? Does he play that well?
He plays drama role serious very well in this, but they could have. The only complaint I have, that movie's only an hour and 35. They could have given the film 20 more minutes to have developed the dynamic between him and his wife. The main dynamic is him, Ortega, the other teacher who's a coach, his wife, and then there's Ortega's friend who's interested in the coach. There's 5 main characters it focuses on. But there's a lot of implied reading between the lines you have to pick up on. That's why I want to rewatch it, because I missed some of the dialogue from how quiet it was. But he does play it well. I've heard some negative things about him. Him and Benedict do not get along because of his ego now that he's developed. But he is great in this film. They almost get you to almost want to take his side in some scenes, but at the end of the day, he is the adult, he is the teacher, she's an 18-year-old girl that's technically an adult, but the teacher-student relationship should not be there.
No.
But they also do a good job of showing you what his life is like at home. He is a writer who does not quite get to where he wants to go with his writing, so he becomes an English teacher as like a fallback. So he's kind of this character that there's a lot of layers there. So when we watch it, I want us to do a review. But those two together,
I was just curious about his range, because I had seen him in a few stuff, and
I'll still say he's a great actor. He's not.
I knew this was something more serious.
Yeah.
I was wondering how he played it.
If he has an ego about being really great, I'll say he's a good actor. But if it's true, this could just be rumors, by the way, guys. So don't read into this too much. But if he does have an ego, I don't see a reason for it, because he's a great actor, yes, but he's still not at the level of a Denzel Washington or a George Clooney or a Brad Pitt. So I hope he really doesn't have an ego. I hope it is all just hearsay, because I enjoy him for the roles he's in, but he still has more he needs to show us to become one of the top people.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that's all just hearsay. But in this film, I think he knocks out of the park. But they could have given another 20 minutes
just to build the dynamic.
Build the dynamic with all the characters and make you between him and his wife. I wish there would have been another few scenes there.
We can talk more about this when we actually review the movie.
Yeah,
I've seen it. Now, we have been going for over an hour, so we're gonna sort of end it. Unless you got one more.
No, I want to hear from you guys, of the people we talked about. What were your favorite films are in? Do you agree or disagree with? I mean, there are so many we haven't hit. That's why we're going to do a part 2 of this.
Any actors or actresses you felt we should have named but didn't?
Or actors or actresses we should have talked about more. Maybe there are films we missed. I know there's actors we missed, but because we are going to do more. There are a lot of people I want to get into that we didn't get a chance.
And as for film-wise, we can't list their entire...
I know with Ortega, I have not seen The Babysitter Killer Queen. She's in the second one on Netflix. I heard she's great in that. That she plays a character who pretends to be pregnant just to get out of being killed.
We cannot list every actor's accomplishment.
No.
Because the ones we're naming, a lot of them are bigger names. A lot of them are newer, so maybe they don't have as many.
She's been in a lot for a young girl. I mean, she's 21 and Finest Kind. I haven't seen that.
But looking at someone like Samuel Jackson, there's no way I could. It would take me the entire length of this video to.
I think he's in 1408 as well. About the hotel room.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, we cannot list every film or show. It would take all day.
I could take the entire length of this video just talking about one actor.
We could talk about Michael Caine for a day. I haven't seen enough, but if we watched everything he was in and then reviewed it, or Johnny Depp.
Depp I could do without having to rewatch it. Because I've seen so much of his work.
But we named some of our personal favorites. That doesn't mean there are other... These are the people we connect with the most. And Adam Sandler will be in part 2.
I love it. I'll be honest, this was off the cuff.
Yeah.
None of this was written down, so literally I was listening to what he was saying, thinking about the movies he was listening to, like, oh, what other actors are in those? Because there are so many great actors that have worked together.
When I wrote my list, I threw it away, but I wrote a list I was going to go off of. It was double-sided because I was at work and I kept thinking about people. Okay. Oh, I need to add them.
There's a game that it's a website, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. The reason they use Kevin Bacon because supposedly you can connect any actor to Kevin Bacon within 6 movie roles.
That's awesome.
And you can do it with any 2 actors. And it is great.
We'll have to play that game sometime.
I did it with my dad without the internet. to see how well my dad knows movies. And I've thrown him some curveballs, and he's done it.
Wow. One more person we won't get into, but I will say part two. I'll have to talk about Zoe Saldana.
Okay, if we're gonna have I think we should make a note of that something. Make sure we do talk about a couple that
We
mentioned.
missed. Or yeah, but we'll do a part two, guys.
Downey Jr. We're gonna have to talk about.
Oh yeah. We're gonna do a part two, maybe even part three. I mean, but there's so many, and we didn't even get into the techniques they use. That because when I watch movies, I watch them for entertainment. But because I'm in a improv / theater group now, I need to start watching movies for entertainment the first time, and then the second time watch them for the techniques they use to show certain things on screen, different techniques that people use.
What movie would you say you've seen the most?
The Patriot might be my number one.
Okay, I've got quite a few because I grew up without cable and all that, so we had a very, at the time, limited film movie collection to pull from. And yes, while we may have had quite a bit, not everybody was interested in the same thing, so we had to find something that everybody liked when we sit down at night to watch. So the amount of times that I've seen The Lord of the Rings, even before I bought my own copies, I've seen all the special features on those at least twice. Usually it's just background info while I'm helping Dad clean around the house, which throw it on just to have background noise. But knowing how they do all that, and it is impressive considering those movies came out in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
we do got to talk about the middle of the saga in general.
We'll do a watch sometime. Yeah.
Now whether we choose the theatrical version or the extended cut.
Extended. Because I've never seen them, so.
I've seen the extended Lord of the Rings. Obviously, I have not gotten around to watching the extended Hobbit.
I need to watch those too. I will say one last thing to wrap up here. The reason we talk about actors so much, I have friends that I know, or acquaintances even, that they go by directors. I know more about actors and actresses. So when I talk about a film, I think of the actors and actresses, not the director so much. So I have a hard time with. There's a few directors, but like actors and actresses, I typically remember more because I see them in so much stuff. If I really like them, I try to watch more of their films.
Do you watch a lot of the background info, like the special features and all that?
Back in the day, I did. Now I'm starting to get into it more. It depends. Last night I watched The Cabin in the Woods, and I was kind of tired, but I did watch. I want to rewatch with the director commentary, but I have watched some of the special features they did, and it was so cool how they created the monsters. It depends on the film, but I'm going to start doing that because you learn so much techniques that the big studios do, and I want to be able to pull that into my personal abilities and grow as an actor.
The reason I'm asking, you said you see the actors a lot, so you're not always able to put a. Maybe you may not remember this director did this because you don't actually see them. It's just a name.
Yeah.
My case, especially with the likes of Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, Peter Jackson, I watch the background knowledge, so I know who I listen to these guys talk about the making of a movie. And yes, we'll probably get a whole video on this, so I'll keep it short. But that's why I can relate to both the actors, the directors, and all that. It's like, oh, this one actually, he may not have directed it, but he produced it. Tim Burton's done a couple of those.
Burton's one I know quite a bit about because he's one of my favorites.
But let's go and end it.
Guys, we're gonna go get lunch and we're gonna watch another video. We'll eventually be doing other reviews for the channel, but thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this. Leave a comment though. Favorite actors, actresses, favorite movies of people we've talked about, and people who you think we should talk about in future videos.
Yeah, we'll take your recommendations into account, whether it be an actor, director, or even a movie you think we should see, or maybe one we've already seen that we should take a rewatch and review for the channel.
And dive maybe deeper into it and watch more of the special features so we can even talk about like what we did for James and the Giant Peach. Now, we actually watch special features.
Okay, the problem with like James and the Giant Peach, and there's a few others, there's not everything has the scope of say like the Lord of the Rings Blu-ray sets. God. Where it's 2 full discs of making up.
Yeah.
It is like the gold standard for the making up. So a lot of movies you'll get a short, maybe 30-minute making up. Lord of the Rings, you get to like a 5 hour making
Yeah,
of
you're leading that
per
discussion when we get there.
per movie.
Yeah, you're leading that discussion because your knowledge of Lord of the Rings is far greater than mine. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We will be doing more videos soon. Now we're gonna get lunch as we upload this ridiculously long video. If you stayed the whole time, uh, uh, let us know by telling us your favorite animal. Leave it in the comments, and we'll know you actually watched this full video. And you are a crazy, crazy shark if you watch this full video.